And now we are moving to our closing session, open discussion session that will be last. And we are moderating with Yanbin this session. And probably we will start with a short survey that help us to understand where we are right now and what is you're thinking about the future.
Okay, so like all the previous times, I will post a link right now in our chat, and please go in, and it will be a series of questions. And in the end, you have the opportunity to provide your email or your information, whether you want to be contacted with further news about the new organization. So the rest of the survey is anonymous, so please feel free to reply without fear. We have 70 participants right now. So we are waiting for your responses. Okay, so I'm going to share the results now. And here's my screen. So thankfully, nobody replied no. We see some hesitation, but we are very happy that the majority of the participants are very willing to help and join any discussion.
And maybe it means that if they will get beam time, they will be involved. If it's not.
Oh, this is excellent.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, just below we are asked what types of activities would you like to be involved in? And we see the highest amount is for new synchrotron techniques and developments. The other one is annual meetings. Those have the same count. We have technical workshops that fit your expertise. Oops, I keep getting responses and my page is refreshing. So we got a good amount for data analysis software, community database and support, students postdoc forums for networking and career building, beamline training for newcomers, and outreach programs. And that's how people want to be informed, and I will not move to the emails.
Okay,
so
that's
email
great.
is the preferred way. Oh,
yeah,
good.
we have actually a lot of people like to be involved in outreach program. That's very encouraging, and we will definitely support that. And 100%, I think, almost annual meetings. Good.
I have a question about the discussions. This is Sean.
Yes.
I thought that the goal of this workshop is to find out what kind of activities, any proposal we should submit in 6 months. And my understanding is NSF will give us substantially more money compared to Compress for 5 years. But NSF's idea, as I understood it, is for us to make a little more broader scope, scientific scope, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't think we have discussed this so much. And what is your plan?
So you a little bit misunderstood what's going on. So we are a high pressure workshop, and we only part of their entire proposal. So there are another huge community that called geochemistry, dealing with the low pressures, ambient pressures, and
okay. So that's I'm sorry, it's my understanding, but a misunderstanding. Yeah. But
yes,
but I need, yeah, if I misunderstood it, I really I need to
yes
understand better, because what's going on. So we are high pressure community. So by saying this, are you including like a rock deformation, like a shallow part of processes or not?
There are
yes, we are. Shun, maybe I can give you a little bit of background.
Yeah.
So the high pressure workshop that we're having today is actually the last one.
Yeah.
In February, the rock deformation community had a workshop. I don't know whether you attended to that one. And so as Wenlu,
in connection to like a synchrotron new project.
That was for preparation, because at that time the NSF solicitation hasn't came out yet.
Okay.
There was already news that things were going to happen. The entire earth science community was waiting for the solicitation to come out. It took longer than we'd expected. And the rock deformation community had, in fact, had 2 workshops already, one last year and one earlier this year. And the community actually is currently organizing, try to find some people and volunteers, try to get proposal ideas.
So what is the overall idea? So the 3 or 4 or 5 groups had something similar.
There are about 3 groups.
Are you guys going to get together and then they prepare one proposal to NSF?
That is the idea. I don't know how we're going to get together. That part we haven't talked about. I think it's mostly the workshop. The goals of the workshops are to get community input. Okay. And the geochemistry community had a workshop. They had actually 500 registrants, and it was a very large workshop. I believe that was in June, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And Tom has something to say. Tom.
So Tom, maybe let's let Tom talk about this. Yeah, he's been going through this all the time.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, as well. I think what Yanbin said was correct, but I just want to add a little bit of information about the budget. It's the new proposal. The maximum is $7 million a year for 5 years, for each of 5 years, for a total of $35 million. Now, if you take Compress and Jesse Cars together from their INF funding, it's about 5.5 million. That's that of course it's not for sure that we're going to continue every activity from those organizations. They have to be evaluated and compared to new initiatives. But as a number of people have pointed out, Shun, what you do need to bear in mind that this organization, the new organization, will not go into effect for about 1.5 years, and then will run for 5 years. And if you take into account, like a 3% salary increase every year for those 6 years, the funding increase is maybe more 10 or 15%, as opposed to 30% if you don't think about inflation. So, there's definitely going to be some very hard decisions that need to be made, because there's a lot of things to do, but the money, of course, is limited. So as Ruskell says, we have to prioritize, and that's what we're working to do now. And that's part of what these workshops are about.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Let's keep discussing what we was planning to do this time. And one of the questions that what we have right now is what capabilities and the new approaches are needed to address key scientific questions that we discussed during the workshop. We think it will be, I think I supposed to post it. So I'm posting the question in chat. So if any of you could have a comment, some idea that absolutely necessary and it's the highest priority to be included in the proposal being developed at synchrotron facilities. Okay, so looks like we are doing pretty well, and not new capabilities and new approaches are needed. So we have everything that users need. Yeah.
Okay, so somebody mentioned diffraction tomography, advanced spectroscopy in laser heating, additional laser heating, beam time for XFD.
Where are you all looking?
So this is our second survey. I'm just gonna share my screen, okay, so you can see what everybody are replying right now. So
diffraction tomography, pretty well on scattering, yeah.
Maybe somebody could comment further.
Yeah, not many responses.
Yeah.
Okay. And, then I have another question for you to discuss. What are user community needs for cyber infrastructure and data services? Renata already talked today about the importance of having some kind of like almost beamline for cyber infrastructure. I'm not sure how it could be done and who is going to be in charge. So anyway, whatever you
hi, I'm here.
Okay.
Our experience is that the idea of having the equivalent of a beamline for computations right next to the actual beamlines is the ability to interact with users and connect and provide some instantaneous computational input to what they are thinking, to what they are happening. This is a great idea, but it's not easily accomplished. You have to have, first of all, a computational scientist working with the DFT practitioners, the people who do calculations. There has to be a connection between the users and the person who is building the infrastructure. My experience with VLab was when the person developing the infrastructure was right next to the students that were using and knew how to do calculations. Usually the computational scientist doesn't know how to do calculations. He needs to be, next to the people who have experience with calculations. Things are implemented very well. Actually, the only users of VLab ended up being students in my group because they were working with the computational scientists while the whole infrastructure was being developed. Computation is one thing, databases and it's something else. Of course, computations generate data, and it's important to save. It can be pretty expensive, and it's very important to save results of computations. But experimental data is also very important. Nobody needs to commit any data until it's published, until the person feels comfortable in releasing data. That should not be a concern to anyone.
Okay, and for computation, do we need to access the supercomputer?
Okay, that's easy. Because there is the XSEED, the network and software and computational infrastructure network in place that is funded by NSF. There are several computational centers, fantastic centers that are funded by NSF. If you have an NSF grant, even to do experiments, NSF is committed to support your computational needs. That's what I use. I don't work next to a supercomputing institute. I use several NSF centers. All you needed to get access to this center is to have an NSF grant. And I suppose someone who does experiments at a synchrotron line that is funded by NSF has some sort of NSF grant. Or the synchrotron facility could interact directly with the supercomputing centers, the network of supercomputing centers. This comes at no cost. Access to supercomputers.
But if this organization is going to be successful, that has to be done.
Yeah, there are some concerns that if we all get together, we cannot understand each other very easy. Like
annual meeting of sorry,
right, but that's I'm sorry, Yanbin, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say that's where the communication becomes even more key. You need to be able to get people onto the same page and working together toward a common goal. I mean, that's a lot of what we've been doing at NSLS2 over the last couple of years is trying to get that going. And we've, I think that we do a much better job of it there now than we did a couple of years ago, and we still have a ways to go. But we've brought programs together and beam lines together and different techniques in different communities. And I think that is a lesson that is important for us to keep in mind when we try to expand beyond just ourselves, because everybody who's in Jesse Cars knows the Jesse Cars world, and everybody who's in Compress knows the Compress world. And there are a few of us who know both of those, but very few of us who know anything outside of that. And we need to be able to engage effectively with those people and bring them in and make them partners in this, not just, oh, come along, little brother, we're going to the movies, but like actually make them a part of this organization.
Yeah, we really have to think about how to do this. As Tom said, I mean, the old ways probably won't work as effective anymore. When we have 150 people going on to one place, that we have a compressed annual meeting, and everybody feels very close to each other. Now we have 300 registrants. Geochemistry has about 500, and rock deformation have about 200. We're very quickly, we're talking about very large group of people. How do we bring them together, and how to have people from different disciplines, closely interact with each other? I don't have any very good ideas. I think we need to really think about these things out of the box and think about some effective ways to do this.
I think it's like we have a users meeting, something like bring everyone together and have plenary talks and option for the discussion with the posters, and people who want to communicate, they will cross each other. But like there are no ways that you can force a person who is doing lecture volume press to go and study like surface chemistry. So it's kind of like, but there could be a connection between them. And but it's
large meetings are hard to handle. I think maybe we could have more breakout sessions in large meetings. So centered on, for example, specific techniques or specific type of data analysis, or maybe a career path for young scientists and things like that, so that they can actually go across disciplines, have formed informal little groups to talk about these issues.
Yep. Ariana.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much. I wanted to just chime in and say, maybe as part of this exercise, we can identify several very broad common threads that run through different aspects of this science across the community. One thing that really resonated with me from Yanbin earlier was discussing tomography data sets, dealing with high volumes of data, the type of, the way in which the data is saved. We will experience similar, if not identical, issues at maybe even a larger scale at the various XFELs, specifically in imaging, in tychography and the like. And so if we identified these themes, maybe coming up with a rule book or a roadmap for high volume data for imaging as one thread, or high volume data in other ways, and then it's a cross-cutting. These different cross-cutting threads can then also be touchstones for the geochemistry community, or other communities that we're trying to sort of recruit. It sounds like we're trying to gather ourselves together. So in this long-range planning effort that we're sort of trying to orchestrate here, I also wonder, to come up with these different thrusts, these different crosscuts, if we don't self-coordinate and identify working groups, smaller subsets of us, some of us from this high pressure community, but then some from the geochemistry community, and we put together straw persons or straw people, proposals for what these cross-cutting themes are. And then we sort of report back. We have, a larger venue, whether or not it's an annual meeting or something of the like. And these different working groups put forward these straw person cross-cutting features that are then going to help glue our larger groups together. I don't know. And
No,
so
that's a very good idea.
the data, large data theme, another one could, other technical capabilities, man, detectors, right? We
Yep.
saw that in Sally's nice presentation. We saw that in a number of other presentations today and earlier this week. Detectors are a need also in the XFEL community, for heaven's sake. So, I mean, there's another technical need that then stitches our different communities together. I'm not saying that's where all the money needs to go, but it's just another technical theme that maybe we can pull a smaller group together to dissect that. Okay, great. Thanks a lot.
And it's actually
Very nice. Thank you. Yeah.
cross with what Renata say about the data, like for the tomography
Absolutely.
data. There are discussion a lot of other beam lines, not only geo. And main consensus there, it's data should be collected and analyzed at the beamline using the supercomputer, reconstructed as the images, and users only taking away the result of this reconstruction. So there are some solutions, we just need to adopt them and talk to others. Yes, that's right. Okay, Tom.
Yeah, I just, so I very much agree with what Ariana said. And I just point out that the structure for the new organization that we're looking at, it would be something that would feature a users organization, which would have an executive committee and could have many subcommittees, many working groups. And so I think I just want to emphasize it's really important for people to participate in this. And this isn't going to work if you just say, well, PI does everything. The community has to participate and become part of the user organization and become part of the executive committee and put in the work that's needed here.
Yep, absolutely agree. So whatever users community have an idea, be sure that you are ready to share that task. Okay, Matt.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to remember too that we're not necessarily an island in this, which is a mistake that I think that we've made organizationally in the past. There are a lot of different groups in a lot of different subdisciplines that are using these techniques that are having the same problems, that are coming up with answers for them. And being able to keep in contact, whether it's through the facilities themselves or other interactions, but keeping in contact with these other groups and organizations that are actively working on this and trying to either work with them or, shamelessly latch on to what they come up with is perhaps better than needing to reinvent the wheel every time.
Of course. Yeah, for that, we just need a person who will collect this all information and guide it. Yeah, that's right. Okay, Yanbin.
I just want to mention that I just put a link in the chat. We're getting close to the end. It's great that we still have about 60 people sticking around. But the steering committee has a web link with a feedback form. So I just put the feedback form in there. After this workshop, if you have continue to think about this, you have new ideas, suggestions, please go to there. We can collect them. That'll be one way to continue to gather information from the community.
Yeah, for the community, if you have any question about the high pressure, you are free to send organizers, and we will be sure that it will be taken into account. Okay, that was great. Is there any more topics that you want to discuss at the last minute? Ready for lunch? No, dinner. I don't see anyone from Europe anymore. So,
thank you all for inviting a computational physicist to participate in the meeting.
of course.
Thank you, Renata. That was a great talk you had.
Yeah. We like the theory. Without that, we cannot live. Just to make it, believe it to everyone. Okay, it was a great pleasure for 3 days. Actually, it was pretty intense. Even talks was around 30 minutes. It still was a lot of questions. There was a lot of discussion, concern, and suggestions. We will try to combine everything together and have some kind of like white paper distributed. But you are welcome to send us all your wishes that you was not be able to do today. You have some new ideas later. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Thanks again, and see you in person, hopefully very soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.